To start, we're just going to trim our vinyl down and we are going to line that up on the bookmark here. Make sure that you do peel back the film cover over the bookmark. Just do that for one side to start. Now for this particular print, because it is a larger print, the portion that I cut out, I just make sure that I had as much of the design showing on the bookmark as possible. I didn't want any weird or uneven edges on it, so I just placed it as best as I could in the middle where I wanted the design to show. Then I'm just going to make sure, using my soft squeegee tool here, that I am just pressing out any of those air bubbles, making sure that there aren't any wrinkles in the vinyl here. Then I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to trim off the excess vinyl. As long as you have a nice, clean, sharp blade, this should be very easy to do. You'll just simply go around the edges of the bookmark here and just trim off that excess vinyl. If you do have any air bubbles caught, you can just use this weeding pen like I am doing here and just pop those bubbles, just simply a small little prick, and then just use your squeegee tool to kind of remove those bubbles and press those out. Now I'm going to remove the film from the back side of the bookmark here, and you'll see, because this was a holographic vinyl, the back is also showing as a pretty silver holographic color as well here. Now, depending on the vinyl that you're using, you may have a different backing, so that is entirely dependent upon your vinyl. However, we're going to cover that up later in the video anyway. So now I'm just simply using the UV resin, and I just applied a thin layer over the entire bookmark, and I'm just going to make sure that that is smoothed and even out. Now the UV resin will also self-level. You just want to make sure that you give it a few minutes before you stick this under the UV light to make sure any of those air bubbles rise up and release. Then you just want to make sure to pop that under your UV light and just let that cure for about 2 minutes. Once that's fully cured, we're going to paint the back of our bookmark here. So I'm just using my pop of color paint and I'm just going to apply a thin coat to the back here. Now, depending on which paint you're using, you may need multiple coats. However, you do want to make sure that your paint is fully dry before we move on to the next step. Once that paint is dry, I'm just taking a coffee filter and I'm using a little bit of 91% alcohol here, and I'm just going to remove some of that paint just so that pretty holographic actually shows through, just to give it a little extra shine for my bookmark. Then, just using the same coffee filter, I'm just going around the edges of the bookmark just to remove any of that extra paint or excess epoxy that spilled onto the sides, as I want that to be nice and clear. And now I'm going to add a thin coat of UV resin to the back here. Now you can use any type of resin that you like. However, I typically use UV resin because we are working in thin coats and it is a lot quicker of a process. Now, when working with the UV resin, you do want to use thin coats, otherwise you could have waves or bubbles in your UV resin. So just make sure that when you're applying it, you do use a thin coat and spread that out as even as possible. Then I like to just spritz it with alcohol just to pop any of those bubbles. After I added my layer of UV resin before I cured it, I did just sprinkle a few of the holographic flakes just to kind of give it an extra sparkle. Then we're going to pop that under the UV light for another 2 to 3 minutes to cure. Now we're going to add our beads here to our bookmark, which is entirely optional. This part is up to you. So all that I'm doing is just using my elastic and I am looping that through, and then I'm going to add my beads, my bubblegum beads here. I chose to do 3, and then I am doing just 1 of these small beads at the end just to kind of keep everything together. And then I'm just going to make sure that that is triple knotted and then just trim the excess. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this quick 5-minute craft video. These bookmarks are so easy and fun to do. There's so many different design possibilities. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and want to see more fun crafty tutorials, don't forget to like and subscribe.